What's going on, Forever Drizzle? What's going on, Jared? So we got New Orleans in the building already. What's going on, y'all? Oh man, you want to request live? I got V coming up. I can't bring you up here just right now. Hey, what's going on? So, welcome to the 411 podcast, y'all. We have special guest V coming in the building. Can't wait to speak to her. She was great the last time, especially when I went on my little tangent about music and everything that I do here. So, can't wait she comes back and definitely going to get us caught up on something very special. So you definitely want to, stick around, go ahead and share this video and let everybody know what we got going on right here inside the 411 podcast. Sunday, y'all, December 5th. Let's get it. Coffee combo with Miss Liz. How you doing tonight? I want to give a very special shout out to the people out there on Facebook. Thank you so much for holding me down. And of course, if you're out there on TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, DLive, or Twitch, go ahead and drop it in the comments and let me know exactly where you're calling from. So here we are, the 5th day, and we're getting into this holiday season. So of course, we do music here on the 411 podcast. So I just thought it would be just so special to continue speaking about Christmas music for the entire month of December while we get right on into the holiday. So I'm just telling y'all what my favorite Christmas songs are. I don't know, holiday songs, whatever you want to call it. I'm just, reminiscing, going down memory lane. So day 5, I love this song. The beat is just amazing. And if I was like, in the music industry and an artist, I would probably try to remake this in my own. Wonderful Christmas Time by Paul McCartney, released in 1979. If you're anything like me and you like that beat, remix a little bit, put a little on it. Wonderful Christmas Time, Paul McCartney and Wings, 1979. So I want to know, what is your favorite Christmas song? Is anybody in the Christmas spirit at this point? Anybody spinning some Christmas music? What's your favorite song? What's your favorite artist? Drop it in the comments and let me know. Now I want to give a shout out to my sister, Kay Cole from Karma's Paradise. Yesterday, I did my first virtual book signing with her, and it was a success. And thank you so much to everybody who came through to support. So many people, I couldn't even really name them, but, it was a great experience. So what you can do is purchase an exclusive Karma's Paradise copy of my new book, My Inspirations Volume 1.5, The Liberation Remix Journal, a 30-day transformational journey towards a healthier mindset. So you can click that link above all of my social media platforms, or you can head right over to Karma's Paradise LLC directly. Basically, you just want to click that link. It's easier. Click that link and go inside of volume 1.5. You can get an autographed copy of my book. You will also get an ebook version of my first book. You will also get a poster and an exclusive Karma's Paradise t-shirt. Go ahead and check that out and support that. My new project will be releasing next month, but go ahead and click that link and get that before, everybody else does. Get that exclusive. So, we're going to talk about these Christmas songs in a minute. Desi May, thank you so much for supporting. I appreciate you. Jason T. Davis, all the way from Los Angeles, California. Leah, Tone, Crystal Martin, Keep doing your thing. Ebonique, Nordia from Shea Heaven, thank you so much for supporting. Now I got to make sure I get this right because it looks like you switched it up on me. But Mrs., so congratulations, Mrs. Chai Hedgie Bofit, doing the most media and Lash Addict Society. What's going on out there on TikTok? Drop it in the comments and let me know where you are calling from. All right, so Mary, did you know? Of course, that's an amazing one. Silent Night. I think I saw Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. Those are all great ones. Um, Mary, did you know though? I would say out of all of them, that would be one of my favorite ones. Also, Silent Night though. You got to get the ones from the Temptations. So that one is like a classic. Haven't even said that one yet. We haven't talked about that yet, but it's definitely coming up. So last night I spoke about this crazy world that we're in. All of the parents out there. Shout out to all of the parents raising children, especially if you got young toddlers and everything now. In this day and age, if you had to do it all over again, would you still choose to have children in this crazy, excuse me, but this is how I worded it last night, especially with this COVID stuff, everything going on. But would you still choose to have children in this crazy ass fucked up world that we're living in? I just want to know. Now, a lot of people said, yeah, they would still do it. One thing that I'm thankful for, I'm thankful that my children are older. Um, but trying to have a toddler keep a mask on in the store around a bunch of people, that's a problem. You know, what was it? Damn near almost 18 years ago. Not so much, maybe 15 years ago, 16 years ago, when I was, trying to get my kids to not touch every damn thing. And the biggest thing that kids will do is put their hands in their mouth. So I was constantly running around with the hand sanitizer and wiping stuff down way before this COVID stuff even came about. I'm super straight up germaphobe, and I like to keep things sterile, like to keep things clean. But I thought that was nerve wracking back then. I can't even imagine what it would be like if I had to sit here and not only make sure that they don't put their hands in their mouth, but keep the mask up, stop touching your face, stop touching this and that. So for those parents out there raising toddlers during this time frame, that's just the first aspect of it. Now, as they continue to grow, we need to speak about safety. Let's not even get into all of the crazy school shootings. One happened, as I was exiting, as a senior in high school. That was the first one that happened around that time frame. And then now look at it. It just happens every so often and we become numb to this situation. So just think about it as we fast forward and this world continues to get crazy. You're raising young children in this environment. What the hell are they going to be subject to as we continue to unfold this madness and this nonsense? Hmm, interesting. I'm going to go ahead and reach out to our special guest V tonight, see what she has to say about this. Oh, what's going on? How are you? It's all in the cards.
Hello?
Hey, hey, hey.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. What's going on?
Not too much. I'm excited for us to have our second meeting.
Yeah, I need to do a little. I hear myself an echo.
Oh, are you hearing an echo again?
Yeah, maybe it'll stop though. But
Okay.
it's not. I hear myself.
Is it still happening?
Um, yeah. I think it's speaker, right? You got me on speakerphone.
How about now?
All right, testing. I hear myself a little bit. There's a little echo. I wonder if it's because I'm on speakerphone.
I don't know. Let's see.
All right, I'm saying something now. I mean, I hear it, but I thought I could deal with it. I don't think I can. You want me to try to call you right back and see if that changes?
Yeah, let's try one more time.
Okay, hang up and then I'll call you right back.
Okay.
It's all right. We haven't had any technical difficulties in a while. We can stand to deal with a little bit.
How about now? Is this any better?
I bet it's better. Oh yeah, it's good. We're on point now.
Okay, perfect.
So, where are you calling from?
I am calling from Rochester, New York, which is like, it's an hour away from Buffalo, like an hour away from Syracuse, like 6 hours away from New York City.
Ooh, that's a long ways. And you know,
It is.
and I know someone who lives up in that area. Man, I don't know how you deal with the snow. Have you had it already?
I consider that a four-letter word. I don't like talking about that, but yes.
Already? See, that's how spoiled we are. So you've had it already, and we
Yes,
haven't.
it's made an ugly appearance.
Crazy. Was it a lot?
No, it wasn't. It
Mm.
wasn't. And I can't complain. Like, I used to complain about living in Rochester in the snow. And then one year I worked in Buffalo for 10 months as a travel nurse.
Mm-hmm.
And I realized just how spoiled I was living in Rochester because when I would get up to go to work at like 6:30 in the morning, the plows would already be on the road. Like they were at least trying to plow the snow. And when I worked in Buffalo, I would travel back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And the plows were rarely out that time of morning. So I can't I think Buffalo has it worse than Rochester does.
Mm. Now, are you a good driver in the snow?
Yeah, like I think I'm middle of the road. I'm not the person that drives like 2 miles an hour to get to work, and I'm also not the person that drives like 60 miles an hour. I'm like literally middle of the road. Like I get a good momentum going, and I have learned that having no tires makes a huge difference. So I feel like I'm a middle of the road driver.
Well, I will say that I don't play with the snow. I used to drive in it a lot, but I've learned not to play in it. And the worst thing is when you're trying to go slow and keep everything on point, and the damn tractor trailer comes flying by, throwing snow all on the
I
situation and
know,
messing it
yeah.
up. They don't care, man. They just be flying. I stay away from them now.
Yeah, like that was part of the reason that I like stopped working in Buffalo because there was a morning I was up driving to work and the snow was like in Rochester the snow wasn't that bad but it was snowing. But by the time I hit the interstate, I was actually driving and there was a tractor trailer in front of me and it was snowing so hard that I didn't even realize until I was like right up on it.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, yeah, like I can't keep doing this. Like I can't like being a travel nurse in the wintertime and that's the destination, it really was not a great thing.
Nah, that's crazy. That's an important job though, being a nurse. So I definitely want to say thank you so much for all that you do, keeping everybody safe. Um, I most certainly could not do that job. It's not.
I think a lot of people like couldn't do it. Like like now I realize that because I've had people at work approach me and say, hey, I want my loved one to be a nurse because you guys make good money.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm honest with them and I try and tell them that nursing is not a job that you pick because of the money, because what they pay you and the amount of work that you put in, it will never equal out.
Mm-mm. No, it won't. There's a lot of jobs in the
Yeah,
healthcare that I'm just shocked and surprised because I most certainly could not do that job at all.
yeah. It takes you have to have a love for people, a love to really want to help and make a difference, like despite the money, because that's what kind of keeps you there and enduring all the things that you have to go through.
Well, depending on what type of environment you're working in, it can also keep you out of jail too. So you have to have a love for it because I've heard some stories of urine being thrown at people, feces being thrown. You've experienced something like that?
Yeah, like but during my early years working as a nurse, there was a place that I worked in. You either learn to swim in the deep waters with the sharks, or you would drown. There was no in between. And everything that you could possibly imagine that could go wrong went wrong. All the horror stories, like I pretty much haven't encountered them. So that was a massive test.
Give me one, if you're allowed to say it, that I would just be shocked by. What's the worst thing that you've had to experience?
Well, so for this one, I was not in the room, but I had come on shift, and we were in the report room, and we heard somebody screaming, and everyone like jumped up, like, "Oh my gosh, what happened? What's wrong?" And everybody went running to the sounds of the scream. And when we walked in there, a patient ostomy bag had exploded, and so there was feces everywhere, including on the nurse. And so I just remember being a brand new nurse, thinking like, what have I gotten myself into? Like you just never.
Okay. What would make it explode? And I guess nobody changed it, but that's pretty bad for it to like pop and spray everywhere. That's some rough stuff. So did she
like when you empty the bag, you need to let all the air out, make sure there's no air in there. And so because air is going to naturally come out. And so if too much air got in there, like it just filled up, and it just everything just exploded. So in this case, it was just a situation where the nurse was in the wrong place at the wrong time, because it was going to explode anyways. But that's like one of the things they teach you in nursing school, is to always make sure that like when you empty and you're done, that there's no extra air left in there.
So so now what happened to this nurse? Did she stay and finish her shift, or did she leave?
Well, because it was change of shift, it was almost time for her to leave anyways, and so she just left. Like she went and she showered, she changed.
You have facilities there where you can shower and stuff?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, there are multiple places in the hospital where you can do that.
Now, do you do that before you leave every day, or you wait till you get home?
I prefer home. If like for something like that, I would definitely hands down do it before I left. But just for like like your basic shift, when I used to work med-surg nursing, I would basically just come home, walk in the door, strip off my scrubs, and then go hop right in the shower.
Yeah. That's a story.
Yeah.
Couldn't do it.
So see, that's the whole point of like, so for a lot of us, there isn't a specific dollar amount. Like there's just random things that sometimes happen like that, and sometimes you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, and you just happen to be a victim. So you can't do it for the money. You have to do it and you have to have the outlook like, okay, it was a fluke accident, or it happened, and you shower and get ready to come back to work the next day. You got to keep going despite the things that happen.
Wow, that's something else.
Yeah.
Well, the worst reaction is when that bag explodes, for someone to do like a quick like, oh my God, I can't believe, because you open your mouth and stuff like that. That could be a bad situation.
Yeah. And but this is also where like you realize how much of a team the hospital is, because so you now have to have someone to come in and help the patient get cleaned up. Someone has to come in and help clean the walls and the floor, change the bed. You know what I mean? Like it's so much of a team effort, and so Um,
Is
nursing is not a single job. I just remember doing med surg and always being so grateful for my techs and my secretaries. Like they meant the world to me. So like it truly is a team effort. And the housekeepers, like they do amazing work. So like it's a team effort all the way around.
well, that's good because I've had short stays in the hospital and stuff, and I think I had my appendix out, and I remember pressing that damn button to call the nurses, and they ain't come right away.
Yes.
So, I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
So something like
I always see things on both sides because there were definitely times when I was working as a med surg nurse where I literally would have like 7, 8 patients and I couldn't be everywhere at once. And someone would say, hey, your patient in this room called out, and I would say, okay, but I had like, if they told me what the patient wanted, I made a note of it, but like it might be 20, 30 minutes before I could get to the room. Like I always try and see things from both sides. And if there's always a delay, I would always tell the person, I'm so sorry. I had pain meds to give. And then I had a doctor who needed something, as soon as possible. So I try and at least explain to the patient vaguely so that they don't think that I was sitting around, playing spades. They know that.
Well, I know that it's rough now. I don't know where you work at as far as your department and stuff, but if it was jacked up like that before, imagine what it's like now with this whole COVID mess going on.
Yeah,
just can't imagine.
I really feel sometimes I feel really bad for the new nurses that are coming out of nursing school because at least for the nurses that are experienced, you come out of nursing school, you work for X amount of years, you have a good foundation, a good baseline, and still things are thrown at you every day. You never know what to expect, but overall you have a good handle on things. But with COVID, things change by the day and you never know what to expect. And so someone coming fresh out of nursing school, it's really hard to get a good foundation with things changing all the time. Dealing with something like COVID, it's a really big challenge.
Are you concerned with what's happening with this new variant?
Yes and no. I am aware of this. I'm like aware of the things that are happening through either, if I'm scrolling online and I see an article, I'll read the headline.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also at a point where I've just kind of gone into overload with so much news on COVID that I just have to take a break. And so, pretty much the major changes that are happening on the job, that's going to come to me via email.
Right.
They're going to let us know these major changes are coming to the job. These are the things that you have to do. But the news can be so overwhelming that sometimes it's just more than what I can take.
Yeah, I agree. I honestly, I'm in, I'm out. If I even look at it, I'm just like real quick. I'll read the news headlines, but to have that stuff on repeat, I used to be a person who would watch the news 24/7. It was on all the time, and definitely don't do that nowadays. Can't do it. This world is crazy. Um, that's a lot of negativity. That's a lot of other people's opinions on what's going to happen, what they think is going to happen. And honestly, I just can't do it.
Yeah, I find that pretty much now I read headlines now more than I ever have, and I don't click on the articles as much because it's just a vibe killer. You can be having a pretty good day, and then you open up Facebook and someone posts an article, and it's not enough that the article can be sad and depressing, but then the fighting in the comments, the negativity in the comments, it's just too much sometimes. So I rely on my work emails to keep me in the loop about the changes that are coming in the hospital that are going to affect, things, kind of everyday things. But for my everyday life, I just choose not to absorb so much negativity. It's just, I feel like it's just like not good for my spirit.
Yeah, and speaking of the comments and stuff, what cracks me up, and I've seen this, is people will go on certain pages and they'll say, I don't like what I'm seeing. And I have to sit back and say, you don't like what you're seeing. Well, then click off of it. Who the hell told you to get that deep and then to start write comments about something that you don't like? You don't like wrestlers, right? But you're sitting there on WWE's social media page commenting about how you don't like wrestlers. That's just, a silly example, but what is wrong with this world that we think it's okay to go on someone else's platform or whatever and talk about and say what you don't like? Who the hell asked you? Like,
Yes.
crazy.
Like what? Like literally, like the same way you and I were talking about just like literally reading the headline and choosing not to click on the article.
Mhm.
That same thing goes for people who have to comment. If you know you don't like, for your example, if you know you don't like wrestling, scroll by. Like I don't think people realize how much time and energy they waste. So like you already don't like it, and then you choose to comment. You waste the time and energy that you're not gonna get back when you could have scrolled on to something else that makes you happy.
Mm. Now I just have to say it. Wasn't gonna bring up my girl, but this actually makes me want to talk about it. So
Yeah.
I'm just minding my business. I'm actually on Mary J. Blige's social media page because I like everything Mary. And
Yeah.
I see somebody that says because she just released a new song called "Good Morning Gorgeous," and it's her basically around her house in her lingerie, in her thongs, whatever it is you want to call it. Somebody said, I'm not interested in seeing Mary J. Blige at 50 years old in her thong. So then I have to say, you're not interested in seeing it, but last time I checked, you were on her page, deep in the comments, carrying on with everybody else, but you're not interested in seeing it.
Yeah.
Nice.
I know. I agree.
But that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Can you imagine a world where if everybody just kept their mouth shut or scrolled past the things that they didn't like instead of feeling the need to comment, what
I'm
kind of world
telling you.
we would be living in? Like just that one thing alone would make a massive difference.
Yeah, that is true. You don't like this. You don't like that. Who told you to even open up your mouth and say something like craziness? Mm.
It's not a necessity.
So now let's get back to the medical nursing. So where are you at right now?
So right now I'm working in labor and delivery. And then I also teach childbirth education classes.
Oh, that's cool. That's where
Yeah.
basically the mothers to be they go in there and they try to do everything, and the fathers just are basically scrolling on their cell phones, not paying attention.
Actually, they don't have that privilege.
Oh, they can't have the cell phones now.
Like, I like, especially like before COVID, we were teaching these classes in person.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to say, you would be surprised how many fathers come in, especially when it's their first baby. They typically were not on their phones because they were terrified, and so they wanted to know like what to expect, like how much pain is my partner going to be in, like what to expect. And so there are videos that we showed, there are games that we played. We kept it like very interactive.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Since COVID, we did switch to online classes, and it's still relatively the same. A lot of first-time fathers are very scared and nervous, and so as the class goes on, sometimes you may lose them, but they definitely are interested in knowing about what to expect of their partner. How can they help out with their partner? So, we cover things like that. We talk about when she's in labor. Football doesn't matter. Basketball doesn't matter. PlayStation doesn't matter. Those types of things, because that's what gets you yelled at, screamed at. Like when she needs you, when you need that's when you need to put the phone down or turn off the game and be there for her.
That's funny. Now, how important is it, the job that you have? Like, are you actually in there when they're doing the whole delivery?
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
goodness.
So,
Oh
so
my.
it's
Oh my.
with my job, like like I never know. Some days I may go in there like triage, which is just where they come in and we see if they're going to even be admitted. Other days I might, someone may be assigned for a C-section and you go back to the operating room. And then some days you go in and you're with someone, for a full shift and they may deliver on your shift or they may not. Sometimes you're in there and you're playing coach. You're helping them go through the process of pushing and helping them get the baby out. So I never know specifically when I walk in the door what I'm going to encounter.
That
Yeah.
So you're there when the baby comes out, and then is it your job to do stuff to get the baby situated?
Yeah, so if I am the patient's nurse, then a lot of times they encourage the whole skin to skin process, and so we always have a baby nurse to the best of our ability in the room. So there's two of us in there. If the mom's gonna do skin to skin, then yes, like I'm usually typically up by the head of the bed, making sure the baby looks okay, the color's okay, keeping baby nice and warm. If I happen to walk into a delivery room and I'm the baby nurse, if they don't like the way the baby looks, they're going to cut the cord and hand the baby off to me. And then, it's my responsibility to kind of assess if the baby just needs a little extra stimulation, or do I need to get, a pediatrician down there to take a look at the baby.
Do all babies look like aliens when they come out?
My job is to answer all babies look like newborns when they come out. They're precious gifts.
AKA aliens. I know. I think they don't start to look decent until maybe a couple hours afterwards.
Well, this is what I tell parents, because sometimes they look at their baby and say, well, I don't see, the baby doesn't look like me. And I will tell them, which is the truth, that what they look like when they come out in 24 hours is going to change. It's going to change in 48 hours. Yeah. So, and sometimes, like if they've been sitting in the vaginal canal for a long period of time, the head is shaped, like they get those cone heads sometimes. And so even the cone head, like that's going to look massively different in 24 hours and even more different in 48 hours. So like what the baby looks like when it comes out at 1 minute old is not going to be what it looks like at 24 hours old. So they do change.
You know what I don't like, that's a problem, is when they use that little suction thing to pull the babies out.
Oh, yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah. I mean, like and that's one of the things too that we talk about in birthing classes. And I will say that, every hospital in every state is different with how and when they choose to use those. But like generally speaking, a lot of times if the woman has tried and tried and tried, and if the baby is close, because if the baby isn't close, you can't use those. But if the baby is close to delivery and she needs just a little extra help, those can be applied. And it's explained to the mother very clearly that this is not applied for you to just lay there and not help. You still have to push as hard as you can, and the doctor will assist you with the vacuum to kind of help get the baby out. So it's not ideal, but sometimes in certain situations.
I don't know why this conversation is making me feel uneasy.
Because you're a man.
And and it's been such a long time since I had the experience or anything like this, but yeah, it's interesting. So now, have you had any men have a problem, like pass out?
Yeah.
Have to? Yeah.
Yes. I've never had any men pass out in birthing class, but I've had them do a lot of verbalization about the videos and how it made them. They weren't comfortable with the videos. You could just watch the look on their faces. In the delivery room, yes, we've had fathers who have passed out because, maybe they're not eating, they're not drinking, their adrenaline's pumping. Like it's a lot, especially to see your loved one in pain and the things that happen in labor. Not every person is equipped to deal with that.
So when a guy passes out, what happens? What do you do?
So it depends on how and where he falls. So I started having that discussion with all of the fathers that I come in contact with. I will say to them, you need to make sure you're eating, drinking, and if you haven't slept, when she sleeps, you sleep. And I tell them, I give them the warning, and I say, if you pass out and you hit the floor, then we have to send you downstairs to the emergency department and you may miss the birth of your baby.
Yep, I was just gonna say, do they get put in a hospital bed now?
Yes, downstairs, and there's no, and the emergency department takes you by priority, and that they may not get back upstairs in time. So I tell them I would rather have them raise their hand if they're feeling queasy. You put a chair behind them. If you can't stand the sight of blood, then don't look down or look into her eyes. Like I'd go over all that stuff to try and keep them upstairs with their significant other.
Wait, what's the thing about looking into her eyes?
Oh, so like some men don't like the sight of blood, and so if their significant other is pushing to have the baby, sometimes there's blood that's visible. Sometimes even seeing the top of the baby's head can make a guy feel like he's going to pass out, and so I'll tell them if you are starting to get uncomfortable and uneasy with the sight of the baby's head or seeing any blood, then look into her eyes instead of down below the sheet.
Oh, look into her eyes. Oh, okay. I thought you said don't.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I guess this beats dealing with people coming in with COVID and stuff, huh?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes there are some people who are pregnant who have come in who have tested positive for COVID, but we don't get the overwhelming majority the same way the emergency department and ICU does, and then there are special floors that are COVID floors. So we definitely are not getting the brunt of the COVID patients.
So when someone comes in with COVID and they're pregnant and stuff and ready to deliver, what do you do?
Same protocol of making sure that you have your mask on, that you have your goggles on, your gown. So it's you're still going to be have on all of your garb that you would for someone else who was COVID positive. But it's just.
So she has to be sitting there with a mask on while she's
pushing, yeah.
That's craziness. That is absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and that that was something that a lot of women would bring up in birthing class. They would say like, "How am I going to push with a mask on? How am I going to be able to do it?" And I would tell them, like, don't stress yourself out about it, because it's one of those things that you just do it. If you worry about it, yes, you can worry about what if, and I won't be able to, and you can become very overwhelmed. But even if there was no COVID, if the same rules apply for pregnant women, that you have to literally take it step by step, because you never know how your labor is going to go. You never know what's going to happen when you get to the hospital. And so you could literally be stressing about pushing in a mask, and you literally walk in the hospital and have a baby an hour later, and you didn't push for very long. So you just don't know what's going to happen. So I try to get them not to worry about the what if that they can't control, because that we talk about that basically in life. If you're someone in life who has to have a lot of control in your life, you're going to struggle with labor, because you have no control over your uterus, you have no control over the baby, you have no control over when the baby's going to show up. And so we just kind of talk about ways to deal with that and have that realization moment. Are you someone who truly falls apart in life every day, like if you don't have control over everything? Because being a parent is going to be hard for you. Going into labor is going to be hard. So it's one step at a time, one moment at a time.
What's going on, Neek? I'm not quite sure if you're still out there from Coral LLC. What's going on? All right. Well, this is an interesting conversation that we're having tonight. Didn't know it would go in this direction. Talking about having babies and everything else, and uh, what is it? What kind of bag was that exploded? What's
What
that
kind of,
called?
oh, the colostomy bag.
Colostomy bag exploding. All kinds of crazy stuff. So we have Miss V on, who is a, nurse, and just hearing all these lovely stories, which I couldn't do the job, so I definitely have to give it up to you, hands down, and to all of the nurses, all of the doctors, all of the healthcare professionals that, you know, we're in some trying times right now. So insane. So now,
Yeah.
for someone that's taking a trip to the hospital, whether it be delivering, whether it be just you're going in for some routine surgery or anything in general, but how important is it for, someone going in to know their rights before heading there?
It's really important. One of the things that since I've been a nurse for so long, that I have become really passionate about is if they're my patients, advocating for my patients and their rights with providers, and that I encourage, patients that sometimes you have to advocate for yourself, because if you don't advocate for yourself and understand what your rights are, it's easy for you to feel like you don't have a voice, to feel like you're not being heard. And I feel like that leads to a lot of unnecessary things, preventable things that they just don't have to happen. So, like, again, for the birthing class, people who come in and do that, we go over advocating for yourself and having a good relationship with your doctor. If you don't trust your doctor, then you need to change doctors, because you're walking in and you're putting your life and your baby's life in this provider's hands. And so it's really important that you have a really good relationship with your doctor, where you feel comfortable enough to ask questions, to state the things that you want, and know that your provider is hearing you and is going to respect your wishes. And so that same thing kind of applies for everyday regular medical stuff. If you are going to see your doctor for hypertension and you're telling them that you don't feel like the treatment is working because your blood pressure is still high and it's been X amount of months, there's an issue with the communication. Like, how do you advocate for yourself when you feel like your provider isn't hearing you? It's reflecting in your blood pressure, it's reflecting in your blood glucose levels. When the proof is there that you're not getting better and you're saying these things to your doctor and they're not listening, that's a pet peeve of mine.
Yeah,
I don't like it when patients are not heard, when they're not listened to, when they're dismissed. That really gets under my skin. And so it always used to make me feel proud, especially when I was working med surg, to be able to advocate for my patients. When, the doctor would walk out of the room and they would call me and say, well, the doctor just left, but this, but that, and I don't like this, and he wasn't hearing me. And then I could, be in the middle and go relay this information to the doctor, and get the patients what they needed.
Now, I don't like to think cynical, but let's say that happens. So, doctor's in there, this, that, next, the other, these are the instructions. All of a sudden, the patient rings the bell for something else, speaks to you, says, hey, I don't like what was being said. They didn't hear me. I don't think that this was clear. So then now you go back and you tell the doctor. Does the doctor get pissed, and do you think that that would affect the way that that person is cared for? I know that it's not supposed to happen, but almost like oh, well, you want to go and run your mouth and you want to say this like I didn't do my job properly. I'll show you. Does that type of stuff happen?
Well, so typically, sometimes I've had providers get mad, but again, like it comes down to that. If you're not hearing what your patient has said, then somebody has to intervene and like climb the chain of command until the patient is heard. And so, if I'm talking to back during my med surg days, if a resident happened to walk out of the room and the patient didn't feel heard, and I spoke to the resident and said, well, this is what the patient actually wants. What can we do about that? And if they kind of blew me off and I said, well, but this is what the patient doesn't want that. This is what you're saying, but the patient doesn't want that. So do you want to go back and talk to them again? And if they said yes, I would always follow back in. I would never send the doctor back in. I would go back in so that I could still continue to kind of, play to be there to still advocate for that patient. If the provider said, nope, I said what I said and they walk off, okay, then we go to the next person in line who's above your head.
That's crazy.
Because you can't not listen to a patient and just dismiss the things that they've said. They have a voice too. And so I know that I can climb the chain of command. Not all patients know that they can do that or know how to do it.
Now, how often does that happen where the provider is like, well, it is what it is. I said what I said and that's it.
Well, I don't come across that as much working in maternity. But when I was in med surg, that happened more than what I would have liked.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
So there basically is a way to fix that. So let's say, all right, so provider says, forget it. I've said what I have to say and that's it. So at that point, the nurse takes the control of the situation, or you encourage the patient to push and push?
I typically, especially when I was in med surg, I would just intervene. Because, can you imagine being in the hospital for whatever reason you don't feel good. Maybe you just had surgery. Maybe you just had, for whatever reason, there are a multitude of reasons why people are in the hospital when I was doing med surg. And I don't like putting that responsibility on the patient. You're already stressed. You're not feeling good. You're out of your natural environment. And so the only thing that I ask of my patients was that they communicate to me what their needs are. I would verbalize that back to them to make sure I heard them properly. And then that was it. I would always tell the patient, give your burden to me. While you're here, give your burden to me. Just communicate your needs to me and let me take care of the rest. And that's what I would do.
Wow. This is interesting. I didn't know that type of stuff happens. I mean, I guess if anything, it is a business. I know it's medical and, it's the hospital and we're supposed to go there and feel well and feel good and come out better, but it is a business. So just think about what you said in the beginning, that don't get into this business if you're going to get into it for the money.
Correct.
How many people get into it just for that because of the money, and they're faking it?
Correct. And it always shows. That's part of my passion. So my grandmother was in a nursing home. It was in a different state. And that nursing home, there were a lot of people who were there just for the paycheck. And it showed. And the care that, my grandparents got in the nursing home was below average. I was very disappointed. And I just remember thinking, especially with my grandfather, I remember thinking, once I become a nurse, I'm never going to be like these people. I'm never going to show up just for a paycheck. And so when both of my grandparents passed away, for me, that was just devastating. And so I spent some time working with older people in med surg after my grandmother died, because I was so heartbroken at the treatment that she received in the nursing home. And that was my way to give back. So while I was there, every man was my grandfather, every woman was my grandmother. And I just gave back. And that was very cathartic to me. That was so healing. Because I'm I can give these people the care that my grandparents didn't get. Right. And that's how I kind of worked my way through it. So that's why it's such a big passion of mine that, I don't expect people to walk into a hospital and know how to advocate for themselves. but let me do it for you. Let me, be the one to help you out when you need it, show you the ropes. That's why the birthing class is so important to me. Let me teach you the ins and outs of things, what to expect before you get there, so that you can empower yourself. If I can help you empower yourself, then when you walk into give birth, I may not be there, but you have the tools,
right,
to be able to take those steps to empower yourself. Like it's really important that people that have medical issues know how to empower themselves with their providers so that they don't feel like they're not being heard.
well, let's just hope that all of the nurses out there in the world are just as awesome as you are, because if you get a crappy nurse, then of course it's not going to work well. But thank you so much for sharing this story tonight, because somebody watching this, maybe they might have a loved one that's in a hospital. Maybe they might need this, resources for, future reference. I mean, I learned something new. Hell, if you're not happy with what's going on, reach out to your nurse, and maybe your nurse will be able to change things and get it to the next level. And if not, the nurse doesn't do it, then I'm sure that you can get on the phone and call and do whatever you need to do to push. But
Correct. Because
man,
sometimes people don't realize. Sometimes you may have to get another nurse. I don't say that lightly. It's not that if you think your nurse is a little snotty, you instantly ask for another one. Because sometimes you just may have to give it a little bit of time. But if you have a nurse that's blatantly disrespecting you or your loved one, sometimes you may have to ask for a different nurse. Sometimes you may have to ask for the charge nurse. So again, like that's where that whole empowerment thing comes in. Is what do I do if, or what do I do when?
right, right, right. A lot of people don't know that, so I'm glad that this is being put out there, because a lot of people just deal with it. I've seen and heard so many stories of, oh, this doctor was crappy, or oh, this nurse was crappy, and they just dealt with it. It became like a thing, oh, my nurse was this, or oh, my doctor was this. So to know that you don't have to put up with it and you can do something about it, I'm glad that this information is being put out there. First time I'm hearing something about it.
Yes. I want people to know and use their options when they need it.
Just like anything else. Follow chain of command.
Yeah.
Well, I think you escaped my burning questions for tonight. This is like the second time, but that's good, because when we get together, we have great conversations. So
I know. Don't you think the time always speeds up whenever we talk?
Yeah. Whenever I'm having a real good conversation with somebody, time flies so crazy. Which that just means that you just have to come back. That's all.
Yes, I would absolutely love it. I'll eventually get to your burning questions.
I know. So do me a favor and let everyone know where they can follow you at. I'm not sure if you are on Facebook, or if you have your own YouTube channel or anything like that, but go ahead and let us know so that everyone can follow and support you.
So right now, my primary page is Instagram. It is the_becoming, ZEE_becoming. I'm working on getting my Facebook linked to that. If people have questions about things that are happening to them and they have questions about advocacy, they can always hop in my inbox. And that's something that I'm going to be kind of adding to my page, kind of going forward, is talking about advocacy and different types of things like that.
Now, your employers, do they look at your social media, or are you able to escape that?
It's not. So it's not linked. So
it's something totally different where they can't.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay, I gotcha.
Yes.
Makes sense. Very good. Because I've worked for some companies in the past that were ridiculous as far as checking out your social media pages and seeing what you're doing on your personal time, and using it against you. And I think that's absolutely incorrect. Like, someone's on their own personal time minding their business. It ain't your business.
Yes. And,
Yeah.
you know, like one of the things that's huge in nursing is you know, like not specifically talking about your patients
Oh
and
yeah.
things
Oh
that
yeah.
have happened. And
Oh
so
yeah.
on, just like on my Instagram page, there's nothing on my Instagram page about about my
Right.
professional life as a nurse. You know what I mean? Like I don't even head into that path.
I got you. Yeah. All right. Well, we will talk. Hopefully, it'll be next year, real soon. So hopefully, we'll talk next year. And I want to say, and I say this to everybody leaving: Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever else you celebrate. Happy New Year, Happy Holidays, because they're all flying by so quickly.
They are, and I'm wishing you a phenomenal 2022.
Yes, thank you, thank you. It's gonna be amazing. I'm excited and ready already.
Yeah, so am I.
Ready already. Hmm. All right, so we'll be in touch, and hopefully I'll talk to you real soon.
All
You
right,
have a
thank you so
wonderful.
much for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Take care now. Good night.
Okay, you too. Bye bye.
See ya. All right, y'all. So there you have it. That was Miss V, all the way from New York, upstate New York, that is, where the snow and everything is. And keep all of that stuff up there because I don't want any of that down here. But it's so crazy how, we get spoiled and we think that, it's so cold and, you know, it's crazy weather. Before we even get our first snowstorm, they probably had like two or three already. So many people came tonight. I want to say what's up to Jonathan. I saw him out there. Neek from Coral Nails was out there. Desi on TikTok, thank you for holding me down. Again, if you want to support the 411 podcast or Reading Between the Wines, you can click that link above all of my social media platforms and go inside and you can purchase my first book, My Inspirations Volume 1. You can also get an exclusive Carmen's Paradise autograph of my second book, which is coming out next month. Book is called My Inspirations Volume 1.5, Deliberation Remix Journal, a 30-day transformational journey towards a healthier mindset. You can get an autographed copy of that, which comes with an ebook of my first book, an autographed copy of 1.5, a poster, and also an exclusive Karma's Paradise t-shirt, which is made by Karma's Paradise for Remix Journal. So click that link for Karma's Paradise exclusive and get that before anybody else gets the book, which will be released on January 3rd, 2022. Can't even believe it. 2022 is going to be here before you know it. Very special shout out to people out there on Facebook. Thank you so much for holding me down. Instagram people, thank you for hanging out there with me. TikTok, thank you as well. Twitter, YouTube, DLive, Twitch. Love each and every one of y'all. And I have to give a very special thank you to my executive producer, my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, for allowing me to come out here and give you all the 411 podcast one more time in life. Now, tomorrow, I have fellow podcasters coming in the building tomorrow. Raw podcast. Fellow podcasters coming tomorrow. Raw podcast right here at 10 p.m. right here at Laren Gaines. Can't wait to see y'all tomorrow. Catch up with y'all. Now, I have a question. We were talking about mental health, and we had Jared Frey come on from the Bipolar podcast, and we were going through a whole bunch of things. And I'm always going to be an advocate for mental health because I've dealt with some things in my past, and I've dealt with some people who didn't, know how to care and support and keep everything ahead because you can be around so many different people and you're suffering from some sort of depression or some mental illness. It's very important that you have people around you that can support you and help you instead of being a detriment to your recovery. So is it possible to give thanks and give glory and praise to God but be depressed at the same time? I want you to think about that. Is it possible for you to give thanks and give all the honor and glory to God, but still be sunken down deep in depression. Interesting. Think about that. The next time that you say that you're depressed, or the next time that you feel that you have the spirit of depression, overtake you, is it possible for you to give thanks to God in all his glory and still be suffering from some depression? And I'm going to leave it at that. And that's for you to answer, because I don't want to go ahead and get into too much controversy and go back and forth, but you can't have both. In my opinion, I don't believe you can have both. So if you got some issue going on with some sort of depression, just ask yourself, is that of God? What's going on, Mr. Will? Thank you for joining. We're about to get on up out of here. Take care, y'all. Have a good night. See you here tomorrow, 10 p.m. While podcast in the building. Take care, y'all. Good night. Good night, y'all.